करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Even this shall pass away. We shall listen to the poem first.
Even this shall pass away. Once in Persia reigned a king who upon his signet ring graved a maxim true and wise, which if held before his eyes gave him counsel at a glance, fit for every change and chance. Solemn words, and these are they, even this shall pass away. Trains of camels through the sand brought him gems from Samarkand. Fleets of galleys through the seas brought him pearls to match with these. But he counted not his gain. Treasures of the mine or main, what is wealth, the king would say, even this shall pass away. Mid the revels of his court, at the zenith of his sport, when the palms of all his guests burned with clapping at his jests, he, amid his figs and wine, cried, O loving friends of mine, pleasures come, but not to stay, even this shall pass away. Lady fairest ever seen was the bride he crowned his queen. Pillowed on his marriage bed, softly to his soul he said, though no bridegroom ever pressed fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay, even this shall pass away. Fighting on a furious field, once a javelin pierced his shield. Soldiers with a loud lament bore him bleeding to his tent. Groaning from his tortured side, pain is hard to bear, he cried, but with patience day by day, even this shall pass away. Towering in the public square, 20 cubits in the air, rose his statue carved in stone. Then the king, disguised unknown, stood before his sculptured name, musing meekly, what is fame? Fame is but a slow decay, even this shall pass away. Struck with palsy, sore and old, waiting at the gates of gold, said he with his dying breath, life is done, but what is death? Then in answer to the king fell a sunbeam on his ring, showing by a heavenly ray, even this shall pass away. Theodore Tilton.
So one word for spiritual growth is objectivity. This term objectivity is derived from the word object. Unit of life is experience, and experience is coming together of subject and object. Subject is the experiencer and object is what he experiences. That is the world. So every experience is necessarily a combination of subject and the object. According to the Vedantic principle, the real subject in you is the self or the Atma. But for the experience to happen, there is an instrument that is required to experience it, and that instrument is your inner equipment called the mind. So mind is the instrument of experience, which in Sanskrit is called as Bhoga Sadhanam. Body is the house of experience, which is called as Bhoga Ayatanam. But who is the real subject? The real subject is the self within you. Unfortunately, we do not understand the presence of the self within, nor can we identify with the self within in the present state of our ignorance. So we tend to believe ourselves to be this body-mind-intellect complex. We are this matter equipments. This is our firm belief. So what happens in every experience is that the mind and intellect, the mind component, the thoughts within us, which is supposed to be the instrument of experience, as it were becomes the experiencer, because we identify with that only. And then what happens is that it completely gets involved in the experience. That means there is no segregation between the subject and object. So in each and every experience, our mind tend to get involved. Involvement, you can say, in this context is the opposite of objectivity. It's not very difficult to understand from the theory point of view, and we have dealt with this in detail when we studied objectivity. But to segregate ourselves from the object and to say that I am separate from it, that requires a lot of sadhana, that requires a lot of effort, and that is where ultimately you are supposed to stand, that the real subject alone, Atma is alone there. There is nothing else except it. It is all our involvement which creates all these differentiations and delusions that is there. So therefore the ultimate aim of human existence is to stand in this fixation of objectivity, or you may call it by a better term, witness. The Sanskrit term is even better, Sakshi. Sakshat ikshate. That means that which is able to directly perceive, that direct perception, that is being a witness, is called as Sakshi, sadhanena vina, without any instrument. So that state of being a Sakshi is the real state of the self. That state of being objective or being a witness, being a Sakshi, can be achieved only if we try to practice objectivity in each and every experience of ours. So therefore we can say Sakshi is both a state as well as a path. We saw in the last class when we studied on his blindness, his state is kingly. He says, though the king is Sakshi, Atmanam Rajavat Sada. A king does not do anything. He just merely sits there, and in his presence everything happens. That is what is the role of the self. It does not do anything. In its presence everything happens. So to say that I am the self is the real Sakshi Bhavana. So when the self-realized masters declare that Aham Brahmasmi, it is coming from the depth of their experience. For us to practice this, we need to slowly move away from our material equipments towards the spirit. Only human being has this choice. Each and every creature in this world is made up of this combination of spirit and matter. But only human being has got the choice to identify himself with the spirit. Once I identify with my matter, I am a material person. And if I try to identify with the spirit, I am a spiritual person. To the extent that I am able to extricate my identification from the material layers and place it on the self, to that extent I become spiritual. Obviously in the path it is not 0 and 100, it is various shades of grey in between. So our aim is to become that Sakshi, for which we need to practice this Sakshi Bhavana in our experience. So that is what this poem is all about. How do we do that? Vedanta's ultimate message is that you are the self, you are not this body, mind and intellect. So the pure Jnana Marga, the pure way of doing this is to say that I am the self, I am not the body. It is not a mechanical repetition, the feeling with which you stand on something solid within you. And therefore, if I am able to say that I am the self, each and every experience that I encounter is with reference to my body. When I say body, body-mind complex. So I am able to distance myself from the experience, saying that these experiences are for my body, for my mind, not for me. I am apart from it. We are going to study this very soon in Kaivalya also. Tebhyo vilakshana sakshi. Chinmatroham sadashivaha. I am that Chidananda Rupa. I am that consciousness. I am that self. All the experiences that are happening in this world are for my body-mind complex. It is not for me. I just have to witness them. And how to do it is what we covered in detail when we studied this. Now, either you can stand on the self within and go through whatever comes to you as a result of your action as a prarabdha. You can go through ups and downs, pleasures and pains, joys and sorrows, heat and cold at various levels of your personality. Each and everything is my prarabdha. That body has to go through. Mind has to go through. This type of extreme dispassion can develop only when you are rooted in the self within. Another way how a bhakta will deal with it is that whatever is happening is his will. So either you catch hold of the self within or the God, both are same. I am saying it is only how you view it, that's all. So whatever is happening in my life, it is his will. I have nothing to do with it. And therefore whatever I am getting out of it is also his pleasure. It is his will. It is his leela. It is, if he wants to keep me in the opulence, it is his will. If he wants to keep me in penury and I have to go through certain things, that is also his will. If you are able to take that stance all the time, then you distance yourself from whatever is happening as the experience and whatever is happening as the fruits of action that accrue to you also. So in either case, there will be pairs of opposites, there will be constantly visiting you from the world. How you distance yourself from them is the challenge. So Vedanta is the direct methodology for that. If you are able to practice this objectivity as you go along, and then you finally reach the state of absolute objectivity or absolute Sakshi. How do you start from the external layers and go step by step internally is what we have covered in this the talk on objectivity. Here, in that we said, for getting this view temporarily, to get over any problem temporarily also, you need to practice this objectivity. That is why even in extreme agitation or emotional disturbance also, the first thing that can give you solace there is this Atma Vidya. The moment you are able to distance yourself and view the totality picture, you immediately get a relief. See, why do we get really involved in anything is because, as I said, the subject mingles with the object. There's no distance between the two. Like I read a book like this, I cannot view anything clearly. The moment I keep it at a distance like this, then it makes sense. So each and everything, when it is viewed from a distance, it makes perfect sense. In fact, the time elongates as it is. If you view it from a distance, there's no problem at all. The moment I view it very closely, the whole vision is blurred, I do not see anything. So, when the mind puts the veil of ego and it is so close to the experience, each and every bit of that experience really affects me. So in terms of practice, when you use the intellect and you are able to pull the mind little bit inward and watch the experience as it goes through, you will be still going through the experience, but the attitude with which you will go through the experience will be different. You will be much more stabilized in this. So the key word here is that affectation. The affectation will not be there to the extent that it creates an insulation so that it does not touch the core of your personality. This will explain why we enjoy even tragic movies. How are we able to do it is because enjoy means you are able to, even as you go through the motions of the movie, you go through the tragedies there and you really feel it touches your heart, and yet you are able to overall appreciate it and enjoy it and carry on with your activity because you are apart from it. In fact, the success of the director or the creator of the movie or the success of the author of the book is to make your mind get involved in it. That is his success. That he is able to draw you into it. And yet at the end of the day, if you are able to understand that it is just a movie, so this has to be carefully understood, because that does not mean that you go and sit in the theater and you say that all this is illusion going on there. It is all story, and you don't laugh when a tragedy scene comes, when everybody is getting emotional there. That is not the point. When you are in Eden Gardens, you enjoy the match. When you are in a tragic movie, you go through the motions of the movie, like Titanic or any other thing. But one aspect of your personality is rooted in the thought that it is just a movie. So as long as you are there, you be there. Once you are out of it, you are out of it. If that strength of objectivity is not gained from within, that lingering thought of involvement will be there for you for a longer period of time, and the affectation will be there for a longer time. If I get involved in an India-Pakistan match and I am not able to take the loss of India, it will affect probably my next day's work at office also. If I get involved with my child's thing and it makes one mistake in the paper and I am not able to take it, then it is going to affect me the next day or next month also. Like that it is. The closer your participation of the mind, the greater will be the involvement. Greater the involvement, greater will be the affectation. This is the relationship. So therefore, if I am able to distance myself, you will go through the experience. Probably, if you are objective enough, you will go through the experience with full intensity also, and yet you will not be affected by it. So we were talking about this distancing and viewing it from a larger perspective. Imagine you are standing in the base of a tree, coconut tree, and a fruit seller is coming from a distance. You do not see him. So he is not there now. And when he is passing through you, only for that moment he is there. And once he passes you this side, he is not there anymore. He becomes past. So he was future, he is present, and then he becomes past. Your limitation of the present is only confined for that few moments when he is there in your vicinity, that's all. If the same fruit seller is being viewed by a person who is sitting on the top of coconut tree, imagine. His vision is so broad that he is able to, the same time that you are not able to see the fruit seller, he is able to see. So for him, he is in the present now also. As he is passing through, he is in the present now also. As he passes on the right side, then he is out of your vision, he is in the present now also. So if you are able to view something from a distance, it gives an overall picture and you are not really affected by it. Otherwise, it's only for a small time and you are not knowing how to cope with it. So this is the raising of the vision. So this raising of the vision can happen by two methods. One is by a horizontal view and by a vertical view. Horizontal view is to view your experience against a spectrum of people. If you are being sick today, think about how many people in this whole city or whole country will be sick and you go into insignificance. In other words, the moment your ego goes into insignificance, even temporarily, that is when you are able to have an overall picture. Otherwise, the ego completely veils us from a short distance. So, horizontal view is to view yourself one among many. So, your problem goes into insignificance, your affectation goes into insignificance. Vertical view is to view your own experience from your own lifetime point of view. So, one is with reference to space, another is with reference to time. Time is vertical, space is horizontal, that's all it is. Same example of you being sick, if it is viewed in the whole lifetime of your 40, 50, 60 years, total number of days you calculate, it is totally 2 weeks, 3 weeks in all these years that you would have been totally sick. What is that big deal? So the moment what is this big deal comes, immediately a sense of detachment comes. And that is what this poem is talking about. If you are able to view that experience and view that experience as you go through, the sense of how you will feel about the experience, let us say 5 years later, 10 years later, when you go through an experience of a great punishment in school and you thought that was the end of the day at that point of time, you view that same experience now, that terrorizing maths teacher or somebody who gave you that punishment, now you laugh at it. But if you are able to somewhat relatively view it at that point of time, the same way as you view now, what a state it will be. That is what is Sakshi Bhavana all about. That is what is practicing objectivity all about. And that is what this hero in this poem, the king of Persia, he demonstrates. So this poem actually has to be felt. It has no real explanation that is required, but what is interesting is he goes through all these experience, and in and through all these experience, how he is able to maintain that objectivity. Therefore, you need to only, as I said, picturize this and then imagine yourself to be this. And by Vedantic principle, we need to someday, sometime reach the state of this king. That's all. This poem does not need any hi-fi philosophical in-depth explanation. He is going through all the experiences in life, and how he is able to maintain that objectivity is the key point in this poem. So the mantra for objectivity is that even this shall pass away. Even this shall pass away means each and every experience in our world is in a flux of change, so it will pass away. So when your mind gets entangled with it, involved with it, when it passes away, your mind goes through the turmoil. So that is what causes affectation. So if you are able to withdraw the mind and you are able to view it as a Sakshi, you watch it pass through, but your mind does not get affected by it. Because your mind is rooted in the core personality within. So this is the essential message in the poem. Even this shall pass away. Probably it is the original Persian poem, and the English version of it, authored by Theodore Tilton, is an absolute classic. He has actually picturized it in probably the same way. It is very difficult to imitate the original, but probably in this poem, if you go through, you will see that how beautifully he has captured this. Even this shall pass away. Once in Persia reigned a king who upon his signet ring graved a maxim true and wise, which, if held before his eyes, gave him counsel at a glance, fit for every change and chance. Solemn words, and these were they, even this shall pass away. So he has a signet ring, where probably like an official ring where the seal is there. In that, he had graved a maxim. And what is that maxim? That maxim is, even this shall pass away. And what is the power of these words? Which if held before his eyes, if he held this before his eyes, it was very true, it was very wise, it gave him counsel at a glance. The moment he had any problem, the moment he had any issue, the moment he needed any answer in his life, all that he needed to do was just look at his ring like this. And what was the power of that statement? It was fit for every change and chance. Any type of experience that he goes through, positive, negative, joy, sorrow, pain, every experience is taken into consideration. So it is fit for every change and chance. Solemn words, and these were they, even this shall pass away. First he is talking about wealth, acquisition. Trains of camel through the sand brought him gems from Samarkand. Fleets of galleys through the seas brought him pearls to match with these. But he counted not his gain, treasures of the mine or main. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. Persia is Iran. So there were a lot of gems that came on camelbacks from Samarkand. Samarkand is a place near Afghanistan. So through the sand means on the land route it is coming. Okay. And then from the sea route, pearls are coming. Fleets of galleys through the seas brought him pearls to match with these. So he got so much wealth from the land route and from the sea route. But he counted not his gain. Treasures of the mine or main, wherever the wealth has come from, whether it's from the mine or from the main route. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. The king, you have to understand, he is in a position where he commands wealth. So he is not averse to taking wealth. He is not averse to acquisition. In and through all the experiences that he goes through, you will find that he is not running away from any of the experience. So remember this, a spiritual person, or if you want to call a devotee of God, or a bhakta, or a jnani, whatever you want to call it, it is not that he is going to have a different experience of the world from any other normal person. As far as worldly experiences are concerned, both will go through the same type of experiences. But in and through the experiences, how he is encountering them, that makes all the difference. So this person is not averse to wealth. At the same time, this person is not extremely craving for wealth. As he is, lot of treasures are coming in his way, he did not keep on counting that wealth. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. What is actually wealth? Wealth is a commodity that can be exchanged for material objects or sense objects. That is the utility of wealth. It has its utility, but that is a limited utility. Wealth cannot buy emotions. Wealth cannot buy knowledge. And how can wealth buy happiness, which is of a different kind? But the whole world believes happiness is in the wealth and procuring wealth. So therefore, when do you not count your gain? You do not count your gain vis-a-vis when the value of it is relatively lower than the other. So only when you begin to value something more than this, can you value something else lesser. In our Dharma, wealth is worshipped as Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi is something who represents anything beautiful, anything auspicious, anything Shri, abundance, wealth, all this is Goddess Mahalakshmi. So definitely all of us do revere her. But remember this, you cannot divorce Mahalakshmi from Mahavishnu and separately worship her. It's not possible. She will stay with you for a while and go away. She is going to be there where her husband is. So if Mahalakshmi represents wealth in this context, Mahavishnu represents the higher values, and you see the picture of Mahalakshmi sitting at the feet of Mahavishnu all the time. What does it mean? When you are doing the worship of Vishnu, she will be always there with you, not to worry at all. But bereft of Vishnu, if you are only courting Mahalakshmi, you are in for a surprise. That's what Ravana tried to do. He segregated Rama and Sita and brought curse upon himself. So, without the values, you see that it is a matter of, on an average, 3 generations. Whether it is in any family, whether it is in any community, whether it is in any corporation, they become again high and low, and paupers become rich. Like that only the alteration is always there. So therefore, if you need, wealth has a value. We are not saying simply you unintelligently give all the wealth in charity. When you are in the householder's life, when you need to maintain your family and do the dharmic activities in the world, the wealth is necessary. But as you deal with wealth, as you utilize wealth, understand the limitations of wealth. You will understand the relative value of wealth only when the relative value of something else which is higher there in your mind. Like, if there is no second line, you cannot say this line is whether big or small, but only when you draw a bigger line by the side, you know this line becomes smaller. It is exactly like that. This is the attitude of renunciation in you. Renunciation is placing the right value. Placing the right value is based on your exposition towards the higher value. Only based on a relative comparison of a higher value can you set the right values, be it for anything, be it wealth, be it relationship, be it anything else in the world also. So there has to be this attitude that what is it that the wealth can maximum give it to me. To that extent, even Bhagavad says you need to earn wealth, but whatever is the utility of it, to that extent only. If you are going to dedicate your entire life just for the pursuit of acquisition, you may not even have the time for even enjoying the fruits of that acquisition. So acquisition per se does not lead you anywhere. Enjoyment per se does not lead you anywhere. That's what we are going to see next. So therefore, you know what is the utility of wealth. To that extent, you need to calculate and have the relationship with wealth. And that is what this king did. King is somebody who is going to command a lot of wealth. But even as he is getting into all those treasures, as he is getting all the treasures from the far off lands and oceans and everything, he would shrug his shoulder and say, what is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. And this is again a very practical lesson. The moment you place your fixation on something which goes very fast, here the wealth is that which fleets away very fast. That's why it is in the shape of a round coin, it will roll away, or it is in the paper of a currency which will fly away. So that's why people want to put it in the form of a plastic money and put it inside the pocket so that it will not go away like that. It is not the case. So you just have your notion fixed on the higher values. Wealth is going to be there as much as it is required. So this is what Swami Ramatirtha says that the ancient Indians valued. All the experiences that European nations are going through in the 19th century, we have gone through long back and weighed in the balance of spirituality. And that is why a person of wealth always respects a person of renunciation in this country even today. What is gaining more value in you is the sense of renunciation, not the sense of hoarding. So even as you are able to gain wealth, even as you are earning money in this lifetime based on your karma, remember this, that is not the be all and end all of life. That is probably one small aspect of your life. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. Then comes the experience of pleasure. Mid the revels of his court, at the zenith of his sport, when the palms of all his guests burned with clapping at his jest, he amid his figs and wine cried, O loving friends of mine, pleasures come, but not to stay, even this shall pass away. This stanza totally demolishes the picture of a Vedantin or a spiritual person as though somebody who is aloof and cut away from the society and not enjoying life at all. That's not the case. In fact, with the availability of his mind, he will be able to enjoy life better than others. And if you cannot enjoy the life in its full spirit, you are really sort of not utilizing the time properly. But the question arises as to what the real joy is. The real joy, even if you want to enjoy any experience in your life, is not in involvement as people believe, it is in objectivity. It is in detachment. A person who is able to be available at the present moment, at that point of time, he is able to fully enjoy that experience. Imagine if your mind is fully preoccupied with certain problems and you are sitting in a movie or in a party with your friends, but constantly the thought of all the problems come to your mind. Will you be able to enjoy? You will not be able to enjoy. If you have the objectivity, then when you are in Eden Gardens and enjoying the match, you are there. When you are in the movie theatre, you are there. When you are in a class, you are here. When you are in a temple, you are there. When you are in a kitchen cooking, you are there. And that is objectivity. But mind does not easily allow that. You need a lot of intellectual strength for that. So, it is a person who is able to absorb this knowledge within. He knows the real nature of the pleasure and he is able to court and enjoy that pleasure. But what is his attitude towards the pleasure even as he is going through that? That is what this stanza shows here. With the rebels of his court at the zenith of his sport. So there's a lot of fun, joke, maybe poetry sessions, maybe various other comments and other things that are there. And for his sense of humor, all the guests are clapping. When the palms of all his guests burned with clapping at his chest. So this is one test even you can take for a spiritual person, one who is involved in, let's say, Bhagavad Gita or various spiritual literature, whatever it is. This is the quality shown by Krishna, this is the quality shown by Rama also. You will exactly know how to relate to any particular audience and be with them at their level, and that is objectivity. So in the Ayodhya Kanda, you see that when Rama, maybe if he meets an old person in this kingdom, he'll say, is pension coming all right? Is everything okay? That will be his conversation. If he meets a young boy, he will say, hey, what is the score today? Who played well today? Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli, that type of a conversation he'll have. When he's meeting a businessman, he'll say, what is the next project that you are going on? He was able to adapt himself exactly to that situation at that level. If there is a tragedy in somebody's house, he'll go and console him also. Not to talk about Krishna, who is a perfect picture of objectivity at any situation. And he was able to bring out cheer and laughter in every case. So, that is the real test of spirituality. On the other hand, if you are totally weighed by all the knowledge, wisdom I should not say, knowledge of Vedantic scriptures and other thing, and weighs in your head, you will not be able to cheerfully laugh. That lightheartedness will not come out, and that is not a life really worth living. So that is the difference between a philosopher and a philosophy teacher. This king is a philosopher. So he is having a party, and figs and wine are the main thing that you have there during fun time in Persia. He, amid his figs and wine, cried, "O loving friends of mine, pleasures come but not to stay." This is what is the cycle or the nature of the world, that it is going to give you pleasure and pain. Both. One comes means it will pass away, another thing will come. And that is why Sukha and Dukkha have limitations. They have the beginning and the end. So if you are too much caught up in the passing away nature of the pleasure and you are not able to enjoy it, that is also wrong. At the same time, you cling on to it that as though it is going to last forever, that is also not going to help you. So what is the solution? Here, that's what it is. At the back of the mind, you know that pleasures come but not to stay. That's all it is. Because pain is waiting, it's going to come. When you know that you are in search of the permanent pleasure within you, against which all the pleasures in the world will pale into insignificance relatively, it is at that time you will be able to be in the world and enjoy the world also. A bird is there sitting on the branch, water is rising below the tree, flood is there, while that branch is swinging up and down, and the bird which is sitting on the branch is also going up and down, happily singing. On the other side of the branch is a boy whose branch is also going up and down, but he is clinging onto the branch because his life depends on it. If the floods come up or if the branch breaks, he is going to die in the flood water below. But if the branch of the bird breaks, he is going to fly away. It is not dependent on the branch, but it is enjoying as long as it is sitting in the branch. That must be your attitude in life as and when you encounter any enjoyment. As you pursue the superior enjoyment within, you will be able to enjoy all the pleasures that come along the way, and this is the key to enjoyment. This is the key to enjoyment. He, amid his figs and wine, cried, "O loving friends of mine, pleasure come but not to stay, even this shall pass away." The joy that we encounter is meeting of two similar frequencies of your mind inside and the world outside. Both are changing phenomena. Mind also constantly changes, world also constantly changes, and in a matching frequency you are experiencing that pleasure. Sooner or later, world is going to change, or your own mind is going to change. So on what basis can we get fixated on that pleasure? Not possible. So it is a very wise advice here. Pleasures come but not to stay, even this shall pass away. And another thing is, only because it passes away you are even able to value the pleasure. In other words, you are able to understand the value of the pleasure only because pain is also given to you. We'll see when pain comes. Now he is talking about the highest form of pleasure here, which is the extreme form of the sensual indulgence that anybody can have, which is not just confined to your sensual pleasure, but it emotionally draws you inside also. Lady fairest ever seen was the bride he crowned his queen, pillowed on his marriage bed, softly to his soul he said, though no bridegroom ever pressed fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay, even this shall pass away. When we were doing the poem Pineapple and the Bee, we said there are two poems that directly talk about the motivational factors of acquisition and enjoyment. Pineapple and the Bee deals with from a different angle. In this poem, it is dealt with from the angle of how do you go through it objectively. And this verse that is given here, this stanza that is given here, there is a direct parallel in Bhajagovindam. Verse 3. Nari stanapara nabi desham drishtva maga moha vesham etan mansava sadivikaram manasi vichintaya varam varam. That poet must have read Adi Shankaracharya, I am saying. I do not know. Here is this thing now going through the ultimate pleasure probably available using the mortal equipment of the body that we can experience in this world. The lady fairest ever seen was the bride he crowned his queen. More than any Miss Universe that you can think of, that is his wife. Pillowed on his marriage bed on the very first night. Softly to his soul, he said. Underline that. Underline that maybe 10 times. That's important. You should not say it aloud. Though no bridegroom ever pressed her bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay, even this shall pass away. That's why I said this. All this doesn't need any explanation. You have to only imagine that state of the person who is able to live at this plane, So even as he is going through that ultimate pleasure, which is going to draw in all your senses, why it is considered as the ultimate pleasure? Because this is one sense pleasure where all your 5 sense organs are involved. Think about it. Any other pleasure, whether it is eating, which involves just your tongue, or maybe the nose, if you can smell it. If it is a movie, it is just your ears and eyes. If it is a cloth that you wear, it is just your skin. Maybe if it is good to look at your eyes, that's all. 1 or maximum 2 sense organs participate when you partake any sense pleasure. But the pleasure that a husband and wife get along when they are in the bed, that is considered the highest form of pleasure because it involves all the 5 sense organs. Plus, it draws your emotions also. So it is considered the highest form of pleasure. So it is in this pleasure that you tend to lose yourself. The involvement must be maximum here. But look at this king. Even as he is going through this, he is saying, though no bridegroom ever press fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay. Why he is saying softly to his soul is said as, it is based on his understanding and his earlier reflection. That's all it means. He has this wisdom from inside. So when he is with that wisdom going through any experience, there is no problem at all. So Adi Shankaracharya says in Bhajagovindam, Nari stanabara nabi desham, looking at the bosom and navel of the woman, drishtva maga moha avesham, don't get into frenzied delusion. So that is the objection here, nothing else. Objection is that frenzied delusion means this alone and nothing else. That sort of you lose yourself completely into that deluded thing. And then probably you are a victim of that for the rest of your life. Not really able to derive that much of pleasure also, and there are various other things that come along with it also. You are not able to handle that. Does that mean that you should not enjoy this type of enjoyment? No, you should. Everybody has that license to go through that type of enjoyment. But in and through that, what do you remember? You remember that this that I am experiencing is also another form of matter. That's about all. So you think about, so Bhajagovindam says, and this also says, mortal flesh must come to clay. Bhajagovindam says, Etan mansava sadhivikaram. What you are experiencing is actually modification of sinews, flesh and fat. That's all it is. Would you want to, suppose you say, what is the beauty in that girl? You say, look at her smile, her teeth. So if teeth alone is separately given to you, will you like the teeth? You will not only not like, you will run away from it. You do not want it. Aversion. The blood that flows in her cheeks, like the blood only and give it to him. He will run away. The nails alone, teeth alone, hair alone, nothing alone you will like. So what is this actually? A beautiful, what you can say, only Maya you can say. All the things independently that you don't like are put together in a form and it's covered with a package. And that you fall for? How is that possible? This is called as Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha Bhavana is to view everything from a counter perspective, an opposite side. An intellectual re-evaluation where you are able to view from a different angle. So that's why I said, when I look at it from only one angle, I see nothing and nothing else is what my mind believes. But only when I look at it from a distance will I be able to see the overall picture. So you keep an object in the middle of the room, you throw light upon from every side, only then you get the full picture. So rose, when you go just by the look of it and you go and immediately pluck it, there will be thorns also. Rose is a package, like that everything is a package. So each and everything you must understand from the overall perspective. And what is this? Whatever you are going through is nothing but modification of flesh and fat. That's all it is. And as it is said in the other scriptures also, it is clay. What is being molded of clay will finally end up in clay. That's all it is. So actually, even if the same lady is there, but she is lying lifeless now, would you want to have the same type of pleasure with her? The answer is no. That means what you are gaining as pleasure so far is not dependent on her physical structure. There is something else within her which is really attractive. That is the thought. This is what is reflection all about. So when you are able to view it like this, then you know exactly what these things that are making it outside is made up of. When you do like that, you exactly understand the relative value of it. So softly to his soul he said, though no bridegroom ever pressed fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay, even this shall pass away. Next, pain. Fighting on a furious field, once a javelin pierced his shield, soldiers with a loud lament bore him bleeding to his tent. Groaning from his tortured side, pain is hard to bear, he cried, but with patience day by day, even this shall pass away. This knowledge of Vedanta is called as Atma Vidya, Brahma Vidya. It is applicable for all. Each and every jiva, every human at least in this world, is eligible to gain this knowledge, because all of us are seeking pleasure, all of us are wanting to get away from pain, all of us are wanting to have that absolute peace and bliss, and this is what this knowledge is exposing you to. But of all the people, this knowledge is much more required for those who are in the state of Raja Rishi or a king. Why so? Because all of us go through ups and downs in life, joys and sorrows in life, heat and cold, all of us do get. And this knowledge says, in and through all those things, you must maintain that stability. But to maintain that stability in the extreme oscillations is the challenge. And what is the life of a king that he goes through is this extreme oscillations. All the time he is in the royal palace with all the comforts that his body goes through. But when he is in the battlefield, his body will not be even taken back to the kingdom if it is injured. He is left there to die. That type of extreme experience that his body will go through. So imagine if it is going through all the unguents and various perfumes that his body will have all the time, chandan and everything. It will be exposed to extreme heat and blood flowing through his body all the time when he is on the battlefield. That is the life of a king. He will be in extreme pleasure, he will be in extreme pain. So for him to maintain the stability, it is the Upanishadic lecture, it is the Upanishadic knowledge that is required for him much more than others. Of course, as I said, it is applicable for all, but for him it is maximum. So that king who went through extreme pleasure in his court with his friends, and he's now in the battlefield, and javelin pierces his shield. So the soldiers took him to the tent, and it is torturous. The pain, only when something affects our body do we know in fact what that pain is. Nothing else we will be able to listen at that point of time, because our attachment with that body is so powerful that everything else goes out of the window. But it is at that point of time he says, pain is hard to bear, he cried. So he does not say, he doesn't laugh and say, oh, I don't have any pain. No, pain is hard to bear, he cried. But with patience day by day, even this shall pass away. Just as pleasure will not stay with you, pain will also not stay with you. This is a fundamental truth that we need to understand. Pain, in fact, is a blessing of nature for two reasons. Relatively, you understand the value of joy only when there is pain. Only when there is sunshine, you will understand the value of shade. Otherwise, if always you are in an AC room and shadow, you will not know the value of it. Only if you are toiling in the sun and suddenly you come under a tree and sit under the shade, you know the value of that shade. Like that, if pain is not there in life, you do not know what the value of pleasure is. This is at the relative level. But more importantly, pain is a blessing of nature that it helps you to turn introvert. If everything was hunky-dory and going along, when are we going to turn introvert and seek the real self? So, as a blessing, hard knocks and shocks do visit us from time to time to remind us that you are given this human life for a purpose. Better serve that purpose. So, you have to respect pain. This is again I am saying this is like a Pratipaksha Bhavana. You can view pain like this. But any pain that comes to you, as though given by nature or God, whatever you want to say, will be given to the extent that you can bear it only. Remember this. A child will be given only child's injection. An elephant will be given elephant's injection. And a rhinoceros, if it has any injection for that skin, it will be given that type of injection. You cannot give that elephant's injection to a child. It will not be like that. But at any point of time, when the injection is being given, that point of time, definitely there will be pain. There's no. But how are you able to manage that? That is the question. See, when a mosquito comes and bites, you immediately, even it's so irritating, and you hit it, you try to catch it, various things that you do. What is it doing? Taking you and taking some blood. That's all. That is how it is. One thing that is made like that only. But when you want to donate blood to somebody, go to the hospital, as the injection is driven into you and blood is taken out, same or more pain is there. But you go through that experience in a different way, different attitude. Why? You are fixated on the purpose of that experience. That's all it is. So if you are not getting involved in the experience but pitch up your thought somewhere else, you know exactly how to go through it. It is not really going to affect you even as your body is going through pain. And the affectation of pain is also not with reference to the quality of the pain. It is the time factor that is involved there. See, imagine here is a small glass of water. I am holding this water like this. It is very easy to hold this, not a problem at all. I hold this for 1 minute, it's possible. Suppose you ask me to hold this for 5 minutes, still possible, but slight discomfort will be there. If you ask me to hold it for 1 hour, this portion will become numb. I will not be able to hold it. If you ask me to hold it for 5 hours, it will collapse. In and through all these time periods, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, has the weight of the glass changed? No, that has not changed. What has changed? What has changed is the holding time. It is the holding time that has changed. That's all. So what increases the pain is not the quantum of the experience. is the elongation of the time period that you hold on to. Pain, even if pain wants to go, you don't want to let it go, you hold on to it. So it is the holding period that is cause of more and more pain. It is not the qualitative or quantitative aspect of the pain. Remember this. We unconsciously maybe fall in love with pain. There are various people who are very comfortable only when they are in worry and anxiety at all points of time. I can think of my own grandmother or people like that. They then get used to that pain and they cannot then live without pain. Like that it is. That is not a proper way, even though it may be camouflaged in terms of concern for others and everything. And I am not suspecting their purity or their concern for others, not at all. But you need to have objectivity even as you go through pain for others and for yourself. So this is the formula. The formula is pain will be hard to bear at that point of time. When the injection is being given at that point of time, it will be painful. But it is a minor prick at that point of time in the overall situation. Again, if you elongate it, nothing else. It is a small thing. That's all it is. But with patience day by day. So just Agama Paino Anityaha Tam Stitikshasva Bharata, says Bhagavad Gita. Same thought there. Agama Paino Anityaha, even this shall pass away. Exactly the same thing. Agama means it will come. Paino Anityaha. It will come, it will go, it is Anitya, it is impermanent. Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. O Bharata, O Arjuna, you endure it. Titiksha is a beautiful quality required for every spiritual seeker. The ability to withstand pain with pleasure. You are able to endure from the overall perspective of what you are doing it for. Therefore, you happily put up with it. That endurance is called titiksha. So each and everything that your body, mind, everything goes through, you have to bear it, that's all. And it is a matter of time that it is going to go. Pain and pleasure are two cycles that is going to visit you all the time. You take the position of the officer who looks at the march past and takes a salute, that's all. Pain will go, pleasure will go, pain will go, pleasure will go. Like that is the position that you need to take. And as I said, pain helps you to become introvert. Groaning from his tortured side, pain is hard to bear, he cried, but with patience day by day. Just be patient. Do not get involved, just be patient. Even this shall pass away. Then comes fame. Towering in the public square, 20 cubits in the air, rose a statue carved in stone. Then the king, disguised, unknown, stood before his sculptured name, musing meekly, what is fame? Fame is but a slow decay. Even this shall pass away. See, we may get over the weakness of money, we may get over the weakness of sensual pleasures, but what is said to be more intoxicating than all these things is the weakness for fame. One day my photo must come in the paper. And somebody always must view or come to my class and praise me. Or if I'm even putting the video, how many views are there in the YouTube? Or constantly this nasha or this intoxication is much more powerful. We want to write our name in the school desk, and there also it should not go away. Like my name should not go away. And we have seen even very recently Saddam Hussein, who was like the undisputed leader of Iraq, and such a big statue that he had, it was brought down in his lifetime before his eyes. And each and every person, whether it is politician, whether it is actor, whether it is sportsman, who are all in the limelight all the time, they are wanting it to continue forever. You read Amitabh Bachchan's interview in the late 80s or 90s and Shah Rukh Khan's interview maybe 10 years, 15 years later, even as they were still probably in their peaks. The thought that people will not recognize me really shakes me, says Shah Rukh Khan in the interview. So the thought of leaving that pattern, you may spend so much money on other things and you gain a position, power, fame, all those things, that is even more powerful this thing for you to hold on. And that is the experience he is going through. He, in a disguise, he goes through the streets of his own kingdom, and he sees his own statue. And a beautiful line is coming here, towering in the public square, 20 cubits in the air. What is 20 cubits in the air? Some measurement, okay? Cubit is some measurement in the air. The air means what? What you actually look forward to as fame is nothing but something insubstantial. It is all in the air. Very beautiful statement there. 20 cubits in the air. It's all in the air, insubstantial. Shakespeare says in Othello, reputation is an idle and most false imposition, oft got without merit and lost without deserving. Reputation, everybody looks for reputation. What is that? He says, it's an idle and most false imposition. It comes because of idle talk. Oh, you went to that movie? So nice, so nice. Very nice, very nice. Like this, some gossip, some idle talk, and before you realize that movie is a great hit. Oh, you went to that restaurant? Fantastic food. Fantastic food. Then you, at a point comes where you feel that if you don't go and eat there, even if it is normal food, if I don't praise, then I'll be out of the thing. So you also start praising. Like that it is. It is a gossiping, idle talk. And suddenly the restaurant becomes very famous. Oft got without merit. And then he says lost without deserving. Really, probably they are serving good food and now it must be maintained. Suddenly somebody says, I saw a cockroach in their kitchen. And then there's a newspaper report and finished. Overnight, all their reputation goes away. So this is reputation. This is fame. It's all in the air. When it will come, when it will go, you do not know. But everybody wants to cling on to that. Rose's statue carved in stone, the king disguised unknown, stood before his sculptured name, musing meekly, what is fame? He is musing meekly, what is fame? Fame is but a slow decay. Instead of decaying in 10 years, you will decay in 50 years. Because your name will continue for that. Those who really are remembered even today after 1000, 2000, 5500 years are those who did not care for fame. Do we ever study about Rama, Krishna celebrating their birthdays during their lifetime? Or Gautama Buddha or anybody for that matter? They just did what needs to be done for the sake of welfare of the world. Adi Shankara Jayanti, Gautama Buddha Jayanti and Krishna Jayanti and Ramanavami, all these are celebrated even today. They will be always remaining. Why? Because they did not seek this. That's all it is. If you do not seek and just do your karma, that will carry you through. And that's what it is. When we study in this Andrea Del Sarto poem, a beautiful line comes there. Those who will cannot, those who can will not. Immortal lines. We'll get there when we see. So fame is but a slow decay. So people want to build memorials, people want to build this, that, and they want to keep their names fixed here and there. It is a matter of time before everything will go away. Instead of going now, it will take a little more time and go away. Fame is but a slow decay. Even this shall pass away. And lastly, the final experience of death. Struck with palsy sore and old, waiting at the gates of gold, said he with his dying breath, life is done, but what is death? Then, in answer to the king, fell a sunbeam on his ring, showing by a heavenly ray, even this shall pass away. Now he is in paralysis, he is in his deathbed, very old. He has experienced all the experiences in life. So, here now he is saying, life is done. Yes, I have known what life is. Life is also done. But what is death? Nobody can answer this question and nobody knows also. It's the area of unknown, right? What is death? But for the king, immediately an answer came. Why? In an answer to the king, fell a sunbeam on his ring. His ring was there and a sunbeam was falling on his ring, showing by a heavenly ray, even this shall pass away. So death is also another experience. Just as all the experiences in your life passed on from one stage to the other stage, death is another experience. Only that maybe in this body you will go through and you will continue your journey. That is what is death. It is just the change of matter from this embodiment to another embodiment. And that's what we are going to study probably in this Kaivalya class. He is going to talk about Punascha Janmantara Karma Yoga. And maybe for a person who has realized the self, this is his last Janma, is just leaving the body. Maybe the king is like that also, we do not know. But it is just another experience. Just as birth is an experience, death is another experience. They are both two sides of the same coin. So the greatest fear or the greatest involvement is the fear of death. I think it's Max Muller or Arthur Schopenhauer who says, if there is any philosophy which is going to be the solace of my life and solace of my death, it is only Vedanta. So Vedanta prepares you to enjoy life and it prepares you for afterlife also. So the difference is not expecting death, but that ability to be prepared for death. If we are expecting death and expecting tragedy at all points of time, when we become pessimists, and that's not a way to live life. You enjoy the life as it comes, but the preparation is that you are ready for something permanent as you are going through this impermanent stage. Therefore, it will not affect you at all. And the Mahatmas who have got themselves rooted in the self-knowledge, they quote death like any other experience with no sense of fear or anxiety or any type of emotion. There is a very serene calmness in their attitude even as death approaches. You can see the life of great Sri Raghavendra or Tyagaraja. These are of course great saints and sages, but even as relatively evolved people doing whatever they are doing in a very unselfish way, look at their attitude even as they age and they approach death. It will be of perfect calmness. That will be there, and that comes out of objectivity. That is also one more experience. So to the extent that you distance yourself away from the body, to that extent you are able to practice this objectivity. Right, we'll conclude with Swamiji's commentary here.
Theodore Tilton presents the king of Persia as a picture of objectivity and detachment. The king carved a great maxim on his ring, even this shall pass away. Rooted in the highest values of life, he lived a life of true renunciation. He would not identify with the best or the worst of things that this world offered him. The king was bountifully blessed with wealth and women, name and fame. He faced also the pangs of disease, decay and approaching death. But all along he maintained his serenity and objectivity in life. The world is an admixture of fortune and misfortune, pleasure and pain, virtue and vice. The inevitable pairs of opposites in life are inexhaustible. Your mental equilibrium and intellectual equipoise should remain unaffected by these fluctuations. You become established in that state by your attunement to higher values. The great king of Persia achieved that exalted state.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate